All right, welcome to Line Trading, going over Friday's SPY recap before taking a look at what to be watching on Monday and into the rest of next week. So, first thing that I want to talk about here before we get into Friday's recap is just how we got to where we are right now. So, we did form this inverse cup at this level before we started to fill this gap down here, which happened overnight on Friday. Did not get the chance to take this orange selling continuation down to it, but you can see right here that we ended up completing this inverse cup and getting our 20-day moving average retest. So you see that inverse cup and then how this handle forms right there for that move to the 20-day. And now we're looking at possibly the same thing right here, or we get that 20-day moving average bounce with this inverse head and shoulder starting to form here. We start to form this cup and handle. We can start to see this move back up before maybe some sellers step back in, right, and form something like that if we do require some sort of larger handle right there to start heading down even lower below our 20-day moving average, which we will talk about this later. So here on Friday in the pre-market brief for Discord members, I explained that you had to be watching for that inverse cup to be forming that we talked about. And if we were going to head up, right, had to be paying attention to these levels right here. So you can see in the morning, we initially rejected this one, and then same thing right there, initially got that bounce, started to head lower, right, another level down here, we formed that handle that we talked about, and we see how this how the orange selling continuation starts to take action here. Now, it was a pretty straightforward day. Like I explained, if there was any reason to look for a reversal, you would want to be seeing that starting to form. Same thing here in the morning. If we would have held this level, could have looked for us to regain this and then try maybe grabbing that above here. But obviously that was not the case. We see this orange selling continuation right from the start of the morning, closing this inverse cup right here. And then, if you were looking for that handle, could have got some more out of the move as well, down to that 20-day moving average. But now we will go over this on the 1-minute chart and take a look at the trades taken intraday and analysis. So now here on the 1-minute chart, going over the microstructure and algorithms, you can see here in the morning, right off of the open, we have this white tapering algorithm from this initial green, and we did not get above that level that we talked about right here on the 30-minute. So we start to see that head and shoulder forming for an initial move to the downside, but we also do see this blue controlled selling starting to form here as well within that yellow. Now, white is still forming right here, but before that happens and we form this head and shoulder, you can see how within that blue and yellow right here, we do start to taper, and there is that inverse head and shoulder for that move to close the cup. But when we try to form this handle right here within that blue and yellow, if you are looking for the upside, right, we do not form that, do not see that green continuation, and so on. You see how we get that second retest, right, and that head and shoulder starts to form within this white algorithm right there. Same thing with that green, beautiful head and shoulder, as well as that inverse cup and handle that you can see, right? We even retest that level, and from there, right, we start to see that yellow selling, white again, right? Same thing, you have another head and shoulder, white, right? If you're paying attention to this, same thing, right? As we continue on the way down, just be looking for these head and shoulders. Now, this is very important, what I'm about to explain here. I'm going to go over it a few times as well. You can see how right here we start to head towards the bottom here at this 586. Now, at that 586, right, this is this level that we're talking about where we want to see that inverse cup closing, and we finally do, and are looking for some sort of handle to be forming there. So when we see this tapering that is forming here as well, within this blue, right, we're not continuing to break down within that yellow, right? It's not continuing lower, and we are starting to see that tapering. You have to be paying attention right here if we do want to head up, but you can see how we do not form that inverse head and shoulder. Can't close that cup. There is no handle right here, so it's an easy read. Same thing right here, right? If you're looking for that reversal and we get this retest, right, it's just a head and shoulder. You will see that all day on Friday, and you could have avoided trying to call the reversal. So now with that concept right there, right, of us not forming the required structure, you can also see how we do have this tapering right here, but again, we cannot break above this level right here. There's another rejection. So if you did take this head and shoulder that started to form right here, right, protect towards the bottom, we close that inverse cup. You're looking for this handle, looking to see that yellow continuation. It doesn't form, okay, you can leave a runner, whatever, maybe you get stopped out, but most of your trade is protected after that, I would hope. This is more than $1 down. And if you're looking for this to break out here again, right, look for it to continue to form that. You need to be seeing us get above that level, and then we can talk about heading up right there, right, if it was a reversal. But remember that white algorithm right here that you can see working, right? There's that green tapering, head and shoulder, same thing right here, right? So if you're looking for that handle right off of that inverse cup, let it form to break out of this red algorithm. And finally, it even gives you this beautiful level retest again. And you can once again see even more tapering right there with that head and shoulders starting to form. Get another inverse cup handle within that white, and there is some more downside continuation, right? So same thing, just be paying attention to that. Finally break out of the bottom of this tapering, and there is no breakout to the upside. So now at this point right here, I'm explaining on 30-minute chart that you have to be paying attention to this orange selling continuation after we broke out of that handle, if we do want to continue down to that 20-day moving average, which you can see we do. It is slow, but we eventually do make it. But I'm also explaining that you have to be paying attention to this yellow tapering algorithm that is starting to form here, as we could be seeing some sort of move starting to try to form right here. And you can see how that does eventually form, but there is no breakout yet of that blue, and that's why I'm explaining we still can be weak right here. Just have to see us forming that within this green, and then we got to get below that 20-day forming resistance. So once again, like I said, I was going to explain and talk about a few times. Do not be looking for this reversal right here, as the 20 is still below unless we actually do form it. So once again, right, with this tapering red algorithm right there, gotta be seeing this actually form. And I would even, right, want to see that cup possibly close, showing the breakout, maybe build a handle right there and then get that reversal. But you can see, right, even within this red tapering algorithm, you can see how this white is still forming these head and shoulders on the way down right there. So several trades you could even be taking within that chop if you were super aggressive with it. So as we're talking about with white continuing to form right here, I'm also explaining on the 30-minute chart that you have to be paying attention to this, as we can still be heading down within this orange selling continuation to that 20-day as our target, but still watching the yellow in case we do want to form this tapering right there, which never does end up forming. So after we get that move down to the 20-day moving average, you can see how we finally start to form that inverse head and shoulder and continue with that red tapering right there. Now you see how that starts to form. We try to close that cup, but we run out of time to see if we can continue moving to that 587, right? So there is that yellow tapering after we reach the 20, and then we are looking for that cup to close, and so on right here if there is a reversal. So now going over what to be watching into Monday and the rest of next week. First thing here, this 20-day is going to be the most important thing. We want to see if we do form some sort of support off of this, continue forming that cup that we talked about, and handle if there is maybe a move back up to here before we retest this level. We can either form a handle and continue moving back to the upside right here if this is some sort of inverse head and shoulder and just a pullback. Otherwise, we will be looking for this 20-day to become resistance, even if this handle does take some more time to form right here. And then we do form resistance and continue this move to the downside right here. So now here on the daily chart, again, talking about this 20-day moving average. But before that, I just want to talk about how we got here as well. As I've been talking about the last few days at this upper Bollinger, we would be looking for that 5-day. We got the 5-day finally formed resistance right here. So we would be looking for that 20-day retest. As I explained on Thursday, we didn't get this move overnight, but it did finally form to the 20 and we were able to get a piece of it, but that is why that was the target. Now from here, if we form resistance at the 20, right, we will be looking for this bottom Bollinger and for us to reach this key level once again before maybe there is some sort of larger bounce. This could start to happen all next week. Just pay attention if that 20-day does become resistance. Now, this can act as some sort of support as well as this area right here. This was the previous all-time highs, but there is still this gap to fill right here if we want before maybe there is a regain of the 20. So several possibilities. Just be paying attention. We could even on Monday, right, have a gap up and we start to retest this 5-day, and then at the 5-day you would want the rejection and then below the 20, and then we would be looking for that bottom Bollinger right here. Now, something I also want to talk about as well is we do want to see this 5-day crossing below the 20 to confirm maybe a possible larger downtrend, right? If this bottom Bollinger did open up, we could be looking at a retest of this 200-day moving average, which we have not retested in quite some time. But you can see, right, upper Bollinger, we retest this 5-day, form resistance here, 5 crosses below the 20. After we reach the 20, you get that retest of the 5, and then from there, bottom Bollinger. So if we retested that bottom Bollinger, and then from the bottom Bollinger, could look for a retest of the 20 and 5-day once again, and could confirm once again more downside, which would put us near that 200-day, and that would be a very nice level of support right here, as we talked about with this support as well, and then ultimately like that. So you can kind of see the range in here and what you would ultimately be looking for. This won't happen, all overnight or anything, but just be paying attention to the trend, as it can still be a pullback as well into any of these zones. I would be looking for a larger bounce at that 200-day. Now, zooming out on this 30-minute here, you can see kind of how we are possibly forming this larger head and shoulder right here. We've got this inverse cup, reached that 20-day. Now you can see how if we do form some resistance, well, we have a couple levels down here that we can look to reach, right? Initially, that gap, and then ultimately this larger inverse cup. And then from there, right, be looking for a handle, or if we do see some sort of reversal. Now, last thing here, we do have NVIDIA earnings on the 20th this week, so be paying attention to that, as that will be a major catalyst and can see some sort of direction, if negative, like I'm saying, possibly down to a lower target in here, at least this bottom Bollinger, if we do form resistance at that 20. Anything more than that, I'm just talking about for future reference and overall what can be going on here. But that is all I have for the video. So thank you everyone for watching, and I will see members in the morning.